and every one of you, one of the things I've always told you very critically is the clamor for permanence by the federal government is impracticable. It's impracticable almost next to impossibility. Because, and I've said this to you before, for a few reasons. Again, I don't imagine that would again call government 101. The Federal Republic of Nigeria, it's a federation. It's a federation that runs on 3 tiers of government. The federal, which you're all beneficiaries of, the state, which is the state you are in, and the local government. So there is no federal child, really, because every one of us is a member of a local government within a state in the context of the federal government. Now, the PPAs, the place of primary assignment that you all are serving, they are all owned by states or local government, whether it's the primary health centers or the public primary school or the public secondary school. So how then will the federal government, put you in the payroll of a state that it doesn't control? It's not practicable. Absolutely not practicable. That's the whole essence of when I'm not aware that even if there may have been a few delays in stipends, nobody has stopped paying you your stipends. So it means that you have continued to earn. And that's also simply because there has been clarion calls that have been made to you, because we do hear you. Mr. Vice President made clarion calls to you sometime last year, in 2019, that we will not put you back on the street. What is John verbatim? And it says, why should the Npower NTEACH beneficiaries be exited from schools that do not have teachers? That school you're talking about is entitlement mentality and advocacy. They are not the same thing at all. Advocacy is a positive engagement of stakeholders for valid reasons. You have a valid point. Just using the case of the NTEACH, most of you who serve in a lot of our public primary schools, we do know that a lot of these schools, aside from the head teacher and maybe assistant head teacher and maybe a few permanent teachers, a lot of you are the ones manning the classrooms and in support sometimes for some of you who have NYSC NYSC corpers also there. So we know the reality. But then you have to advocate. You have to advocate right. You have to advocate appropriately. You don't advocate through a protest to Mr. President or the Honorable Minister or the Special Advisor, Mrs. Ways, or to me, or you don't. That's not the way to go. The best way to go is to advocate positively with your legislators at the grassroots and indeed your state. I use a case in point, like the Lagos State yesterday. The Lagos State volunteers, I first and foremost commend you for a peaceful protest, and you got the attention of the deputy governor. But the first question he asked you, because you were also magnanimous to send me the video, which is what I celebrate about you all Npower volunteers, you are truthful to yourselves. You sent me a copy of the video. I watched it. He asked 2 questions. He said, first and foremost, have you written us officially before now? So that you introduce yourself. Remember, this is a new government, and such is the case of many state governments now. There are new governors, new governance in place. Have you written us officially before now? And I didn't see that you could answer the question, Lagos Npower volunteers, because he said you could have come with a copy of that letter if you had done so today. Then the second thing, I loved when one of your state leaders, then engaged the deputy governor and said, but we are also aware that in most of these schools, recruitment is going on for teachers. He then asked the next question, did you apply? Because I'm aware that interviews are going on right now for those who applied and have been shortlisted. Did you apply? Now, so my fellow young ones, that is what advocacy is. Advocacy is guided. Advocacy is a positive engagement with stakeholders. Now, the valid question you've raised, state governors, state governments, some are in the process of making recruitments into their public institutions. When the announcements come, you don't have an entitlement right to think because you are Buhari's child, you are Npower, it should be automatic. There's no, that your coming into the program was not automatic. There was no automatic engagement into the program. For those of you in batch 2, we had 2.5 million applications. If it was automatic, we should have been 2.5 million of you in the program. You had to go through a selection process which was competitive. So therefore, there is nothing in life that is automatic. Everything needs to run through a process. What am I saying? Engage positively through your state actors, particularly your grassroots legislators, House of Assembly, federal legislators, state governors. When you know that a recruitment process is going on, apply. Apply like everyone else. You would always have an edge because in your CV that you would have used for applying, you would have stated there that you are an Npower volunteer in so place and you are volunteered for 2 years, for 3 years, for 2.5 years, for 1 year, for whatever it is, and you state specifically what is being your role. So you would always have an advantage. In any case, we continue the conversation with state governors to recognize you. The Vice President, as you know, chairs the National Economic Council. The Honourable Minister, the new Honourable Minister is also making his engagement with state governors as you follow through on our social media. And I'm sure we will begin to see more positive results, just like the Deputy Governor of Lagos State assured the Npower volunteers. I'm even aware that he gave you an appointment to come on a certain day and have a proper conversation. But aside from that, let me also encourage you to toe the path of personal development. I know that I'm speaking to the converted because a lot of you are doing that already. I celebrate those of you who have formed the cooperative, the agro cooperative in Kwara. I celebrate the same, those of you who have done it in Oyo and many other places where you have formed cooperatives and you're actually growing your businesses or what you call your side hustle. So yes, your personal development is key, but beyond government jobs, expand your network. All of you should get into LinkedIn. There's no reason why any of you should not have a LinkedIn account. Upload your profile on LinkedIn. Upload your status as Npower on LinkedIn. And in fact, perhaps I would also encourage our communication team to also open a LinkedIn page so that you can give verification and veracity to you when you upload yourself as an Npower volunteer. Because the LinkedIn service right now is gone beyond just paid jobs. On LinkedIn now, you also have networking opportunities, even for other freelance opportunities, other collaborations. So let me advise you on that. Another thing to show you that we continue to listen and we continue to respond. Those of you who follow us actively, last week, the Bank of Industry approved $20 million, 7.2 billion for what is known as the Young Tech Innovation Startup Fund. Now, especially those of you who are in Npower, software Npower, tech, hardware, creative, that's for you. And a lot of you also who may be even in the graduate program, but you have initiatives around technology, that's for you. That's an opportunity that you should also tap into. Now, don't say that because the Bank of Industry has announced it, you are waiting for somebody to spoon feed you. No, go ahead and apply. Don't someone ask me on Sunday, and says, oh, I want to apply for this, but you know what, I'm told that you need to know somebody. Well, let me ask those of you in Npower, did you need to know me or anybody to get into Npower? You can answer right there. And if the answer is no, because you did not need to know anybody to get into the program, why do you then think that you need to know somebody to be able to access this fund from BOI? Yes, it may not be very easy, but I'm sure with the appropriate, once you collaborate, form yourselves into groups, and with the appropriate BDS, Business Development Services, provided to you, which you can also access through Faith Foundation and other entities, you would be able to access it. In addition to that, let me also remind you that the Central Bank of Nigeria also announced 90 billion soft loan under the Agribusiness Small Medium Enterprises Investment Scheme. And who is it for you? For small scale agribusiness through the National Microfinance Bank spread across their 56 branches across Nigeria. I'm sure this is good news for the Npower Kwara volunteers who formed that agro network and went ahead to lease 40 hectares of land from Invest Npower supporter. So we have his ears. Community policing is also one of those areas that the Police Service Commission, the Governors Forum, and the security networks are looking at to also see how we can absorb some of you who are interested. So these are basically the tracks. But then I know that I'm speaking to the converted because, like I said to you, a lot of you already have other things doing. So you all just want to get this sense of entitlement and just think you can continue to earn the pay, thinking it's money for the boys. This is not money for the boys. If you know you already have, you are gainfully employed somewhere, whether with local government or whoever it is, please go and resign. And for those of you who are already entrepreneurial driven, access some of these opportunities. Reach us if you have challenges. We are all there to serve you. We are there through our multi-channels, but again, a more coordinated effort through the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Ministry of Finance, CBN Governor will be announced once we have final details. But I would hope that before we even do that, a lot of you have taken on some of these opportunities. Let me say very quickly that for the non-graduates, especially, I had a question that some of you are wondering, what's your own exit? Your exit was already inbuilt at the beginning. You had your exit tools already. There's none of you in a non-graduate program that did not get an exit tool, be it a laptop, be it a tool repair kit for those of you in hardware, be it your tool kit for carpentry, masonry, whatever. So you have your exit already, and we also provided you access to master assistants, access to industry players within your 9 months apprenticeship. We have success stories of some of you that have been now fully engaged by employers that provided the apprenticeship. So for those of you who still are wondering what is exit for non-graduate, your exit was given to you from the very beginning, and that is the exit tool. My second to last point, please disregard any and continued rumors around the portal is now open for new batch. It is not open. We cannot open it until we succeed in exiting those of you who are in the program. So all hands are on deck to ensure that all that you have earned, all that you have gained, all that you continue to learn and gain through the program and all the support that we'll provide would enable you to exit successfully. I'm aware that this SANEF one that I shared with you, the shared agency network, if you latch onto it, you have there's a profitability of at the very least 150% of what you earn now as monthly commissions. You know what mobile agent is. Some of you have it in your community. If you latch onto this network, you have the opportunity of earning no less than at least 45,000, every month. And some of you don't even need to be there yourself because your wife, your spouse, somebody could run it while you are also doing some other hustle. So please, we would open up the transition page on our portal, connect you with all these opportunities. Feel free to ask us questions. Feel free to require of us whatever support you require, and then we would work with you actively. And this is just being proactive ahead of when proper formal announcements will be made. So I've said to you, yes, disregard any fake news around new batch. Always rely on our verified channels. I'm not going to be responding to any and every fake news. Once any news is not on our verified channel, then be sure that it is not from us. Let me also remind you that there are people out there that are all looking to how to defraud you in terms of saying, pay me money, I'll get you Empower slot. The question you should ask yourself, did you pay to get into the program? So why should anybody be asking someone somewhere down the line to pay? So please remember that you have yourself to blame if you fall guilty of that. There was a question that now that we've gotten our general stipend, is it safe to say that we'll start receiving our salaries like we used to? Well, I've explained to you that I have assurances from the new ministry that the worst days are behind us. So I'm hopeful that the answer to that will be yes. Can an anti-theft software come with the devices to be given to 2017 batch? Well, that's a good question and it's been noted. However, I'm also informed by tech geeks that they are actually anti-theft paid services and you can download. So for those of you in batch 1 that have devices, you can download it and make use of it. Well, Mr. Folabi made a statement that the permanence of beneficiaries is tied to their permanent voters card. Can he explain what he meant by that statement? Well, this was during the elections and the campaigns when I said to you that when you say permanence, permanence is in your hands. And I said that permanence is by your PVC. Well, the reason I can still be continuing this conversation with you and also exploring and sharing with you all the multiple options that you can tap into is because you listen to me and use your PVC to re-elect Mr. President and his vice. And I've thanked you and they have all thanked you since then, and thanked all Nigerians, even those who did not vote for them. So that's what I meant by that. Permanence is in your hand. But beyond the PVC, I've also shared with you now how even by your conduct, permanence is in your hands. Personal development goals, permanence is in your hands. And of course, by your right positive advocacy with your stakeholders from the grassroots up, permanence is in your hands. Question around why are beneficiaries being terminated from the program unwillfully? I've answered that. So why are some state governors or state governments recruiting teachers outside of Npower? Like, let me use the case study of the Deputy Governor of Lagos State. Did you apply? So again, you don't have automatic. There's nothing automatic in life. Even your bet was not automatic. You know, I mean, those of you who did biology, multiple millions of sperm. So please, there's nothing automatic in life. Can an Npower beneficiary apply for another federal government empowerment program? Well, I've just mentioned to you that we're actually, the ministry and all the actors are working to see how we can create a youth jeep loan, just like the Honourable Minister said. But aside from that, we have just mentioned to you a BOI, CBN, and all the other opportunities. So yes, and like I said, always be proud to mention in your application process that you are an Npower volunteer. This government promised change and next level in job creation. What about the 1 million jobs that this government promised to provide to graduates annually? Well, it is incremental. Our promise first and foremost is that it's an incremental thing. You are 500, you are close to 560,000 now, 500,000 graduates, about 58,000 non-graduates. So the talk about 1 million is incremental. But remember, again, it's an APC party promise. So even the APC states, they all contribute to this promise. Remember what I said, you are all in a local government within a state, in a federal entity. So yes, we would bring in more people to continue to expand the program, and you all will join the alumni. I'm sure you'll be happy to join Npower alumni, just like a few of your colleagues, Sipasi, Benedict, and a few others, Daniel, who's in CBN in Benin. I mean, you have an Npower volunteer in CBN. So those of you who may have challenges about soft loan, how to, not that it can assist you, it may be able to educate you on how to do your application. So use your network. I'm sure you will all be proud to be a part of the Npower alumni network. What's the fate of the northern? Yes, I must apologize. We did the N Creative Southern States between June and December last year. We tried to ensure that the Northern N Creative was going to start. But then again, that's caught within the transition process. So the ministry is reviewing, and I'm sure any moment from now, they would clear the contractor who has been awarded by the Federal Executive Council to comment. So just stay tuned to our channels and we would announce. For those of you who were in the N Creative South and did not collect your certificate, yes, you didn't collect it because remember,